Hello, and welcome to this week's episode of the Reset Podcast. I'm your host, Lauren Mignot, CEO of the experience agency, D-Flash. Each episode, I bring in a different business leader who's doing some game-changing work, and this episode is no different. I'm super psyched to have Galit Tsadik, who is the founder and CEO of Financial Shark Trust, talking about what's happening in the time of COVID and how to manage your finances better and be smarter and not go broke, because we're all worried about that. So it's going to be a great conversation. Take a listen. Hey, Galit.
Hi, thank you so much for having me, Laura. I really appreciate it.
My pleasure. As we were chatting before, you are one of the many, many people who's stranded outside of the US in this really wacky and weird time. So, how is the Netherlands these days?
It's pretty good. Actually, here I feel like it hasn't really hit. Like they're not really talking about it so much, just everything is closed. So, I mean, but people are still like going out, the supermarkets are open, stuff like that. And every once in a while, I feel like I think they're taking it a little bit too relaxed.
Oh, God.
But I'm happy to be here. I'm staying indoors. I got a mask, the whole 9 yards. So I'm taking it seriously.
As you
But
should. It's here in New York, it's serious. So I'm saying stay out there for as long as you can. It's all good. So even though the podcast is happening during the time of COVID, the questions still stay the same. So, Eddie, what was your first job?
My first job, I actually worked like at a supermarket, but I picked up the phone. I answered the phone at a supermarket. So basically, I just dealt with people calling to ask what time we were open all day.
I was going to say, who calls the supermarket? I'm like, the things you would, is a pharmacy open, and when are you closing?
Yeah, like, when are you closing? Do you have this item? And every once in a while, this is like back in the time of fax. They used to fax in their shopping lists.
Shut up.
Because this was like a small kind of supermarket that had like sort of personal shoppers before they were like personal grocery shoppers, like baggers, basically used to put together the orders. So like they'd fax in a shopping list and like someone would go assemble their order and they would come and pick it up.
Wow. Yeah. Where was this?
This is in Far Rockaway.
Really?
Yeah.
Like, you could like get personalized shopping in Far Rockaway? How did I never hear about this? Wow.
It was like this small grocery store. It was the only place that would hire me because I was 14.
Well, that's it. I was like,
yeah.
how old were you?
Yeah, I had just gotten my working papers. I was 14, and like they were the only place that was gonna hire me. And like literally, I just sat in a corner in the office, just telling people what time we closed.
Listen, I'm sure it taught you a lot about how to deal with people under very unusual questions. And but also see what people prioritize, because like, what are you actually going to buy from the supermarket? Like, that's a different person entirely. Interesting, very interesting. So how did you go from being a personalized phone answerer at the custom shopper shopping center in Far Rockaway to becoming the Financial Shark Trust? What was that journey like?
It was a very long and windy road. I started in restaurants and basically rose to like a managerial position in restaurants while I was in college. I did that through high school and college. And then I worked as a paralegal and a few other jobs. I also worked as a receptionist for my orthopedic surgeon. Like it was just so many different things. But the one thing that was in common was that every place that I went into, I tried to improve it. And I used to start with profit. And so I really like found a way to make things more efficient and just improve processes, systems, and like control the money. So I decided, I got my degree. I wanted to go into finance. I ended up somehow in mortgages.
Yeah, because of course.
Right.
Yeah.
Because that was the first, the real job after college that was going to be in like my field. I wanted to go into management consulting, but ended up, getting a job in mortgages, became a certified mortgage underwriter, all of this stuff. And then I decided, I ended up getting a job in compliance, which made me want to
Vomit.
yeah, it was just like spreadsheets all day, every day, like mindless work.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, I want to do something else. So I did something completely opposite. I decided to go work for a tech startup as their one and only financial person.
Yeah, makes perfect
Yeah.
sense.
Yeah, I was like, I'm going to do something so far away from compliance, like I'll never end up back here.
Right.
Yeah.
Like, I'll go this way.
And that's where I got to create all of their financial systems from scratch because they didn't have anything in place. And I was like, oh my God, this is so much fun. This is what I want to do. And while I was there, I saw, you know, it was a startup. So all these entrepreneurs, I got like bit by the entrepreneurial bug. And I was like, this is it. I'm going to start my own business. So when I was there, that's when I started it. And haven't looked back ever since. That was 2015.
Wow.
Yeah.
So what prompted you to say, you know what, I want to be the financial shark for us? Like that's who I want to be.
Yeah. I feel like that took a little bit of time as well because when I first started my business, being in the world of finance and coming from like a big bank, I worked in Morgan Stanley, and you just are kind of programmed to be super corporate and act a certain way. And when I initially started my business, like that is the image that I projected. Like it's Tsadik G Management. That was the first name of my business. And it was like very corporate. Everything looked super corporate. I looked super corporate. And I just felt like I wasn't being authentic. And
But
it
you were.
wasn't, yeah, like I was making money, but it didn't feel so great because I just wasn't being true to who I was as a person and to like the business that I wanted to run. And one of my friends actually coined me a sharktress, and it just stuck. And
It
I was
stuck.
like, "This is it."
Yeah.
Yeah, like it was. I'm obsessed with sharks, so I was like just talking about sharks again, and my friend was just like, "You are such a sharktress." I was like, "That's it. That's it. That is going to be my business name." And that I haven't looked back.
Wow. And so today, what does the financial shark just do?
So I own a virtual CFO company. So we do everything that has to do with money in a business. And then I also do financial wellness coaching, which is I have one-on-one group coaching and an online school. And it's dedicated to financial literacy and changing your mindset around money so that you can have a healthy relationship with it.
Because I feel like lots of, entrepreneurs, especially female entrepreneurs, are like, oh my God, what do I do? Like, I don't want to touch the accounting thing. It's scary. How do you sort of help people figure out how, one, it's not so scary, and two, here's why you have to pay attention to it?
Yeah. It is. So the first thing that I do, I find that a lot of financial professionals overcomplicate things when they're teaching it to their clients, so that because they feel on some level that if the client knows how to do this, then they'll lose a job. And I believe in the opposite. I want you to understand everything that's going on. I want you to know how to do it so that you can really take a larger role in your business, right? It's about real-time data and making decisions based on that. Because if you're making decisions on just like a hunch or like a gut feeling or like last year's numbers, you don't know if that's the right decision that, for you. You're not dealing with perfect information. And I think that's what a lot of business owners and female entrepreneurs need to realize is like your numbers matter. Like this is not just because it's the money that you're taking home. It's because that will help you grow your business. You need to know where you are. You need to know your starting line in order to win a race.
Of course, you have to know where you're coming from in order to know where you're going. Like no matter what this is, especially when you're dealing with your finances. So it's interesting. So like right now, everyone's freaking out about their finances because we're in this very scary time. And I think one of the things that even I went through was like trying to apply for the PPP loan, which was a disaster.
Yes.
Like, how do we navigate this stuff? Like, what is the universe that we should be playing in? Because obviously, so businesses are affected, and I think folks are trying to survive instead of plan. And I think you have to plan to survive and actually for this to actually work for you.
Yeah. So I do actually have a resource board that can help. I put together a resource board, and I've been keeping it up since this pandemic hit, of all the grants and all the different loans and all the different assistances you can apply for. And I even put like fun stuff of like free stuff you can do it as an adult, free stuff you can do as a kid during this time. But so that's like one place that I would start, is a resource board. I know that a lot of like chambers of commerce have put together their own. There's tons of different like places where people have accumulated all the different resources and all the different information on it. As far as loans and grants go, a good thing to think about is the source that you got the grant or the notification for the loan for, because during this time there are going to be a lot of people trying to take advantage of this, using scams, trying to get your information. So really think about like everybody right now, especially business owners, and I have a group and we help each other all the time, but we're sending each other all these different links to different grants. Like, just be aware of where those links are coming from. If it's from a reputable source, are you like on the company's website, or are you filling out like a SurveyMonkey form? Think about it and double check it before you put your personal information into anything. And then as far as the PPP and the economic injury disaster loan, these things they're kind of in the works still, right? The guidance keeps changing on it. And I've been keeping up with this because it impacts my business. And this is, my clients are coming to me for advice, and I need to know what's going on with these. So I would say find a trusted accountant or a bookkeeper who's really keeping up with it, and ask them those questions. Also look at, the guidance on the government websites. Just take that with a grain of salt, because it's going to be really long and kind of hard to understand. Unfortunately, sometimes I'm reading through the literature and I'm just like, what?
Well, it's interesting.
I have to read it a couple times, like, oh, okay.
Yeah, I mean, one of the things I found out when doing the PPP loan application, and even though I'm with a smaller bank who is like actually doing good personalized service, was that they're like, wait, actually, you only hire people who are 1099s. You can't apply for this loan. And I was like, are you out of your mind? But like, it was one of those things where it's like, and they're like, no, you have to apply as a 1099. You yourself have to apply as a 1099 contractor. And it was one of those things that sort of let me know that like, when they were building these rules, they didn't take into account how small businesses have changed in the last 10 years. That like, it's a gig economy. People don't want to use payroll services, and many other ways, or how people get paid via Cash App or PayPal. Like, and so, when you try and like collate all those paperwork together, it becomes a disaster.
I know. And that's why I always recommend like talk to your accountant and have them help you put together the paperwork and help you understand the qualifications of getting the loan and if you qualify for it. Because I did have some clients who came to me and were like, okay, this is my situation. Am I eligible, or should I go on unemployment? And in New York, they're giving the extra $600, and like we figured out what their loan amount would be, and we were like, okay, so your loan amount is going to be like $2,000. But if you get, because they were in the same boat.
Right. Because But the thing, it's like one of those things. It's like, well, okay, so oftentimes when you're the founder of a company, you pay yourself the least. So if it's based off of your salary, then theoretically you could be getting a $2,000 loan, and you're like, what?
Yeah. Yeah. And we just figured out, I was like, it's probably just, unless you're gonna take that loan and then go invest it in something that's gonna make you more than the 1% interest you'll be paying on it, then doesn't pay to necessarily take the loan. But if you do need the loan in order to pay payroll and you have W-2 employees, then definitely go for it.
Awesome. And what are some advice, obviously, if your business is either on hold or you're trying to figure out how to pivot it? What are some things that you should be paying attention to? And how do you not freak out and, hoard all your money, take it out of the bank and have it under your mattress because you don't know what's going to happen? Oh, and just be smart about it because, again, we're planning to survive, not just, surviving.
Yeah. So, a really big thing right now is to sit down and reevaluate your business and all the different things that you do in your business and see what are the things that I can offer virtually or maintaining social distancing rules. And also another thing to really sit down and do right now is to think about how can I reopen when it's time, and what are the risks that are going to be involved in me reopening, and how can I minimize those risks. So that's a big thing. And in the meantime, as far as money is concerned, you have to be really careful about cash flow. So if you are able to speak to your utility company, your insurance companies, your landlord, and see what they are able to do for you and see what you can work out with them, that's a great place to start. You can literally call up any of the companies that you pay money to right now and try to renegotiate with them so that you really minimize the amount that you have to pay, or set up payment plans for when you are starting to make money. And really start to also prioritize your spending. So obviously, like rent, utilities are going to be number one. Right now, food personally is going to be a big priority. But the other smaller things, maybe there's stuff that you can get rid of in your business, in your personal life, that'll really, really help with cash flow and ease the anxiety a little bit.
Awesome. And, had this not happened, what are some tips, like, because we're living in this world that it has happened, but how do you even find like a good accountant, or when do you know you should get as an accountant versus a CFO? Like, what's that world like? Because I think, again, thinking positively about what you want to do, because you might want to start a business now. Like, I mean, I love the belief, like I just started a new business today because I'm not busy enough. And I'm like, because why not? But like, what are some things that you should be looking out for and steps you should do in that process so that, you can build for the future?
Yeah, the first thing, hire an accountant from day one, a good accountant. Like I am so serious. I have an accountant and I have had him since day one. Hire an accountant, someone that can help you plan strategically, somebody that can help you understand financial statements, or how to do your own bookkeeping in the beginning when you can't afford to pay somebody else. So experts, and make sure, the way that you find them is reach out to your network, reach out to your support systems, see who they use, who they recommend, because that is usually the best way to find an accountant. I mean, when I built my business in the beginning, it was literally word of mouth. I did absolutely no advertising, no nothing. It was just because someone used me and they referred someone else to me, and it went on and on and on. And especially when it comes to your money, you want to be able to trust that person. So if it's come referred to you by a friend, by a colleague, by someone you know, it definitely helps you trust, and it helps you listen to what they're going to say to you. that's like the first thing.
Basics,
Also, just,
bottom line. What
yeah,
day one?
like day one, hire a good accountant. You might not need like a lot of, you might not need to do a lot of billable hours or stuff like that. Like, it doesn't have to be expensive. It just has to be, someone that you trust and that can give you a little bit of advice when you're deciding if to do an LLC or if a corp, or, like all of these questions that as a small business owner, like, you're an expert on what you do. So hire somebody that's an expert in money to help you with that.
Yeah, it's like find people who are good at this stuff. Like you hire a lawyer and an accountant and do it from the beginning, because then you'll be much better off. Because or if the people you hire aren't that good, fire fast.
Yeah, that I have found with I feel like that's with everything in a business. Like, don't wait for it to get better. It never does.
Of course not.
I feel like I've done it way too many times of like, I was like, something isn't right. I don't feel comfortable, but I'm just gonna give it a little bit more time. And then you always like end up being frustrated and regretting that a little bit. So if you don't connect with someone, hire someone else.
Exactly. And I think it's interesting because I think, we were lucky with our accountant that he kind of understands our business and how we roll. And I think, that's kind of important as well, that the people, like, because you can get really people who are super competent, but they may not understand your industry. So if you're in a
Yeah.
business that like is project based, is a little bit on the fly, very unpredictable, you want to work with people, and I find that this has been helpful for us, who understand that, like, okay, what are y'all doing? Oh, okay. Here's what you guys should be thinking about, because it's unpredictable. It's not everyone's going to work 40 hours a week and like it's going to be like X number of things that'll happen and it's a 9 to 5. Because the road for entrepreneurship, as you well know, is just windy and weird. And so folks who understand that are also really key, and are giving you advice that makes sense for the business that you're in versus what might be technically correct.
Yeah. And that's also a big thing. Like, in the beginning, when you're starting a business, don't necessarily compare yourself to like industry standards. Yes, those are something that you're going to go for. I've just seen too many business owners like completely burn out because they were like, oh my gosh, I need to make money in the first month. Like, I didn't make money. I have done nothing. I'm horrible at this. I don't know what I'm doing. I'm giving up. Like, no. Talk to somebody who understands what the life cycle of a business is like also. That maybe one year you'll make a little bit less, but you'll do something else. You'll increase your reach or your leads for the following year. But don't that, I guess that has to do with support system as well. Like, surround yourself with people that understand the life cycle of an entrepreneur. I found that has been so beneficial in my business, of just like having a network of other business owners that I can talk to and bounce things off of, and like, okay, I'm anxious and terrified. Is this normal? Like, yeah.
Yes, it is. Actually, if you're not anxious and terrified about it, then it's not the right thing for you. Because like, if it's not welling up in your gut, like, oh my God, like, then it doesn't matter to you. If you're sort of, because then you're phoning it in. And having that awesome support system, I'm always full of just really good people who don't all do the same thing, but are just good folks, are so important. I think now, especially as we're all trying to navigate some very weird and uncharted waters, having support systems like that is so important.
Yeah, it is. I have a meeting with one of my support systems like that tonight, actually. Um, it's called the Ladies of Business Rockaway Beach, and we're a nonprofit.
Nice.
Yeah, and basically we meet the first Monday of every month just to talk about what's going on, and like we'll offer things and celebrate all the little accomplishments that we've
Celebrate
made
your
over the
wins.
month,
Yeah.
express gratitude. Like that is key, celebrating your accomplishments, expressing gratitude, and then asking for help. Like, we are so, as business owners, we're supposed to know everything, right? We have the answer to every question.
Of course we do.
But it's not, it doesn't make sense. Why would you have the answer to every question? You're not an expert on everything. So
Bingo.
ask for help, delegate. All of these things are like things that I didn't do enough in the beginning of my business. And then once I started doing it, once I had these support systems around me, that's when my business really started to flourish.
Awesome. Yeah. And then that's key. It's just, look, no man is an island. So you really got to, and the road for this, when you're you're not on your own. Everything that you're experiencing and feeling, somebody else has had. And especially now, we're all kind of freaked. We're all freaked together. So that's actually a good thing, because it also spawns a lot of new ideas and new creativity, new vulnerabilities, and also makes you want to catch up with folks you haven't talked to in a bit. And you never know where that's going to take you, but having those conversations and connecting with the folks and remembering, like, okay, my win today was, I did not wash my pants. Yes. I think whatever it is, I think are things that really matter to help us kind of guide us through these times. So, thinking back on where you are now, even though you are stuck in the Netherlands, what would you tell 21-year-old Galit?
Ooh. Wow. I think I would tell her to be authentic and don't let anyone else determine your value. That was like a big lesson that I had to learn, and that I learned when I finally stepped out and opened my own business, is that up until that point, I had been allowing employers to dictate what I was worth. I had been allowing other people to dictate, what I could make, how much I was worth, what I was. And when I released that, when I started to dictate what my worth was when I actually felt good about what I was doing.
Awesome. And so key. Like, it's your life, nobody else's. Back up off me. I will do it myself. Fantastic. That's wonderful. So, yeah, we're in this world, and obviously it's taking a hit to everyone's business. But like, what are you doing for your self-care? Like, what's the thing that's sort of like, doing you for your sanity to keep you moving and going in this obviously very strange time?
Okay. So I've been doing a little bit. I did a face mask this
Awesome.
week. Yeah, like I got a
Splendid.
face mask. I did that. I also started a 28-day fitness challenge, which has helped
Same.
on yeah, it's helped on so many fronts, because it's like the working out, it's also the eating healthy. They gave me, a grocery list and a meal plan. So like I know it took out that pressure of like
what to buy,
what to make, making the same thing over and over and over and over. So those are some of the things, and I'm trying to give myself just time to zone out every day. And like, I stopped looking at the news after 9 p.m. because
awesome.
It was giving me like anxiety attacks, especially when it first hit in New York and it was really bad. And at that point, I wasn't sure if I was going to make it home, if I wasn't going to make it home. I would literally get completely anxious and feel like I was going to have a heart attack reading these news stories at night. And so after 9 p.m., no news.
That's a really, really good one. And I think it's so important that people remember you have to just let yourself breathe. So yes, veg out on whatever it is, on Netflix, on trashy TV, it does not matter, but just let yourself go. And not, no one's requesting that you lose 50 pounds, read 50 books, and write the next great American novel tomorrow.
Just do a little bit every day. Do something. Even if you don't have a business or you're shut down right now, like, just do something towards your future every day. Even if it's just getting dressed or showering
Yeah.
or brushing your teeth. Like,
Yeah.
just do it.
Yeah, one small thing puts you one foot in front of the other. Like a good friend of mine kind of said, the wins wall, where you can like put what your wins for the week are, and it could be literally like, I worked out once this week. Like I slept for 6 hours or 8 hours or 10 hours, so that you start to see that, like, all right, cool. Like you feel like you're not doing anything. When you look at that wall, you're like, oh, look at the stuff I've been up to. Okay, I feel good about this, because this is unprecedented, and we're all gonna feel it in different ways. And the news is toxic, so limit that as much as you possibly can.
Yeah.
It's so important. So, as part of my coronavirus series of episodes, we're asking our guests if they have a give or an ask for the audience. So, Galit, what's your give or ask?
Ooh, a give or an ask.
Or both.
So I ask if the audience could follow me on social media, because I give free financial advice every single Monday at 3. I do interviews and also give financial advice at 3 p.m. Eastern every Monday. So yeah, tune in. Actually, this week it's my topic. So today, my topic is every little bit helps. And I'm going to be teaching people how to save and invest even during this time on like small amounts of money.
Awesome. All right, so we will put all the details in the show notes so that people can follow you and get free financial advice, which is really important right now. So listen to her advice.
Yeah.
He knows what she's talking about.
Yes, we're going to be dealing with all of the topics that have to do with like businesses getting through Corona, and, cash flow, and how to make sure that you're financially stable during this time.
Awesome. Perfect. And so needed. Thank you so much for doing that. That's wonderful. Well, Galit, it's been such a pleasure to have you on the show. And hope you get back to New York when it's safe to come back.
Yes. So excited.
Although I'm sure the Netherlands is lovely. I'm sure you miss home as well. But you've been so wonderful and so gracious with all of your wonderful tips. And so, like I said, we'll share those all in the show notes and in all our social media, so folks can follow you and get some good learnings.
Thank you. I'm really excited. Thank you.
Awesome. And that is our show.